Amari Clutchinson, trademark Mikey Benty Smith's heroics, and Hull's win at Southampton keeps Town well and truly in the automatic promotion race. Next up at Portman Road, Birmingham City. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast discussing the sound up or down since 2015. I'm Rich Woodward and welcome to the Prematch Show in partnership with the Greyhound Pub in Ipswich. We go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. on YouTube and are available on demand afterwards on podcast. And joining me to cast his expert eye, forensic eye, his witty eye. There's three eyes there. Seb Brown, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Why are you being nice to me? That's a weird change up for the pre-match show. Can I ask a quick question?
Of course you can.
This Amari Clutchinson thing, what is it? I've seen it on social media. Mikey tweeted it. Is it a reference for the kids that I don't understand?
Well, clutch. You know what a clutch moment in sport is, yeah?
Oh, right. No, is that what? No. To me, a clutch is something in a car.
Yeah, but it's also a sports saying for someone who comes up trumps at the right possible moment, who does something, like a Hail Mary in American football, that kind of stuff. So he's come up clutch with 2 goals, West Brom and then Rotherham, hasn't he? What Mikey's wittily done is realised that clutch and hut rhymes. So
I understand what Mikey's done with the wordage. I just didn't know what clutch meant, but thank you for explaining it. The elders amongst us.
I'm happy to help out, kids. I'll be on TikTok later on as well. I've received feedback of late that I'm a bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
horrible, nasty, mean, bullying.
Yeah, so I thought I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to be trying to be nice. So let's go with that. How are you feeling? Let's see how long it lasts. How are you feeling after Tuesday night? Because we are live, so we're going to come to the chat in a second. But I just want to get Seb's his 48 hours after the fact situation on Rotherham, because it was weird going straight live afterwards. Really conflicting emotions. How do you feel about it 48 hours later?
Yeah, it was a bizarre, probably the weirdest post-match show I think we've ever done. We've had some euphoric ones, we've had some god-awful ones after various 0-0 draws, but that one was such a strange feeling of emotions because you've won a game in the last minute. You kind of feel on a real downer for some reason. It's difficult to shake off in the immediate aftermath, and then you've got to obviously jump on a podcast and try and sort of discuss things which felt like they happened 6 hours previously. So it was a really strange evening. As I said on the reaction show, look at the facts. That's what I've keep looking at. We picked up 3 points. Southampton dropped 3 points. Brilliant. Last minute winner. The bits from minute 46 to 90 whatever is done in the past now, and I think it was quite refreshing that McKenna came out, Leif Davis came out, didn't they, and both said both came out and said that wasn't good enough, we can do better, etc. They will know they got out of jail a little bit on that one, as we all do, and I'm hoping for a much calmer game at Portman Road on Saturday. Would be nice, wouldn't it? Just a bog standard dull. Bring us back a Mick McCarthy rubbish 1-0 victory.
No, careful what you wish for.
I'm joking.
Careful what you wish for. Yeah, so we'll talk more about Birmingham in a bit. In the research that I've done, I think there'll be goals in this one. I'm going to step my stall out early on that one. But let's quickly say hello to folk in the chat as well and give us your thoughts on Rotherham, Birmingham, or anything else. AD, first off, is here. Good to have you with us. That's the StreamYard stuff. Paul is here as well. Charlie, Stuart, I'm still complete state since Tuesday night. Any chance of a straightforward 2-0? Yeah, there is. We know where you're coming from there. And yeah, AD agreeing with that too. Yeah, a lot of people talking about a Tuesday still. Sharon's here as well. Heaven knows you're miserable now. Michael, who's Michael? I missed something there. Anyway, Mikey
from Down Under.
Oh, Down Under, maybe. Yeah. Oh, there you go. They're out of sequence. The comments are going wrong. I went to see a Smith tribute band last night. My ears are still ringing. Maybe 2 rows from the front. Oh, that aging us now, isn't it? As well. You got to wear the earplugs. As an ex-drummer, I know you got tinnitus. You worked in clubs, didn't you, back in the day? So you got tinnitus as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely screwed.
So kids, protect your ears because you can't cured tinnitus. You can alleviate it, but you can't. There you go. We've gone to some weird places already, haven't we?
This is
Ashley's
the weirdest
here.
opening to a pre-match show I think we've done. We've given medical advice and all sorts. Yeah.
Ashley's
Are
here.
you all right? You feeling okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I had pancakes for tea. And yeah, I'm maybe just Brinner. That's what I had. Ashley's. I'm happy that we went on Tuesday. Still rather disappointed with. Yeah, focus on the facts. That's the official line of the podcast. Evening to Andreas. Good to have you with us. Nick as well. Some of the Telegram VIPs are here. Paul, Max, MW, Neil. Evening, everyone. Second by 5. Oh, he said it. Second by 5 p.m. I think Neil was the one who said possibly called a promotion shout as well, didn't he? Last season, I seem to recall. So, good form, Neil. Colin's here. Eric's here as well. And we'll talk about, Ashley's talking about Leeds Leicester. That is a huge game on Friday. We'll definitely talk about that one and get your predictions. The universe doesn't care. My favorite username is here as well. Anthony is here. Richard representing the North America Supporters Club. Great stuff. And Rando, one of our Telegram VIPs, if you're nice to Seb, I won't make GIFs out of your reactions. Well, even more reason then to do that as well. Matt, great shout here. Thinking of Mogger and hope he returns to full health soon. I'm sure both sets of fans will show their support for him on Saturday here. Definitely agree with that one. And David, Helsinki, Finland representing. That's what we want. Something Mikey bloody loves, doesn't it? Clutch putt. Neil's used it in a sentence for you there, Seb. And yeah, universe doesn't care. Clutch, very much a phrase that's used in the US when talking about the quarterback being good in vital moments. So there you go. Chris, heart rate still high after Tuesday. That's 48 hours on, Chris. You might want to get that checked out as well. We've got hearing, we've got heart issues as well. Look after yourselves, folks. That's all I can say. Drink plenty of water.
And each other.
And each other, right, Jerry? Joel, we'll talk about Harry Clark. I've not heard anything. Let us know in the chat if you have. We've not heard any whispers yet. A little bit early in terms of pre-match presses. And look, we've got Birmingham represented by John, our good mate John. Great to have you with us. Do point us in the right direction, John, if we go wrong, of course. Jerry, one of your crew, Seb, Damp Wales. Evening to you. Has pretty much rained here since the Swansea game. Yeah, no surprises there either. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for getting involved, and we'll come to the chat throughout the show. If you've got questions for Seb or me, even as well. I mean, I'll put them to Seb probably, but if you've got questions, come back to those when we're talking about Birmingham. We definitely want to get your predictions as well. In terms of news, Seb, not a huge amount going on, so it gives me an opportunity to talk about ITFC women. 2 games called off. We've talked about the rain in Wales, the rain in Suffolk. Also relentless and a challenging situation for Felixstowe and Walton with their pitch. So 2 waterlogged pitches. I think it's now stopped, but it's been raining all day. So fingers crossed that the game against Rugby Borough on Sunday will be played. Get the tickets at tickets.itfc.co.uk until Friday midday and then pay on the turnstile. But yeah, if you're looking for a double header like I am on the weekend of ITFC action, come and join us at the AGL. In other news, Seb, I'm delighted that finally there's a game to be played at Portman Road for the women's team as well, March 23rd. Your thoughts on that one?
I think it's brilliant. I was going to ask you about it being our resident ITFC women expert. I mean, this is nothing but great news, isn't it? It was hinted at a few times in the past, and Ashton was quite open, wasn't he? He said, we can't do it with the old pitch. The pitch has to be redone. Looks like it's in a decent state now. And yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Because it's surely a massive, massive thing, isn't it?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, it's not the first time the women's team have played at Portman Road. I think there was a Suffolk Cup match, possibly before lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. So they've played there before, but it wasn't really kind of properly sorted out. And the women's game has obviously grown hugely since then, and the team as well. So it will be really great with no distraction of men's matches that weekend because of the international break. I really encourage folk to get involved and get behind that. We hear a lot of, I'm a member of the Women's Official Sports Clubs committee, and we hear a lot of, I wish it wasn't in Felixstowe because I could just go if it was at Portman Road. And so this is the opportunity to send that message to the club, really, that there is definite interest beyond Felixstowe. Obviously, we love Felixstowe. They've been great hosts, but the future of the club needs the fan base engaged. And if we're honest, the majority of the fan base is in the town, isn't it? And further afield who, have got that familiarity getting to Portman Road. So I hope that it's a really good gate. I'll be there with my drum. That hopefully that doesn't put people off. I'll go in a far corner and you don't have to be near me. But just great to see this fantastic team plays football the right way. A lot of it, very similar to the stuff that you see through Kieran McKenna's team on a Saturday. And so really great to give the women's team that platform to build for the future. So really excited for it. 23rd, as I say, and ticket details coming out soon. So yeah, keep an eye on that. But first off at Portman Road this weekend, Seb, we've got Birmingham. I nearly went into my proper West Midlands accent, but I won't do that too much. We always try to talk about managerial merry-go-rounds and so on. 3 managers for Birmingham, and they are probably not where they want to be compared to the pre-season expectations. A lot of stuff we've talked about already with John Eustace and latterly Wayne Rooney, but a really excellent, astute appointment who's steadied the ship in Tony Mowbray, which makes kind of his situation all the more sadder. But finally, common sense prevailed on the Rooney situation, didn't it?
I think so. I'll be honest, I was quite surprised that they did sack him. I kind of thought, having bought him in, they would at least give him the January window to kind of back him. I know the fans were incredibly unhappy. We saw a snippet of it when they let the 2-goal lead slip at St Andrews back in November, I think, whenever it was. And you saw things on social media, didn't you? Away fans kind of screaming for him to go. And yeah, it's kind of derailed their season, let's be honest, hasn't it? We spoke back in the November preview show. We referenced the Zola appointment, didn't we? We said, is this going to be a repeat of 2016 when Gary Rowett had them 7th or 6th maybe? And it was an identical situation with Eustace. Eustace had this kind of side that was set up that was more direct, more based around counter-attacks. Rooney comes in, the ownership promised this, was it rock and roll football, I think they described it as, or blood and thunder or something like that. And he simply never got going, did he? And as you say, Mowbray is a really sensible. I know we're all going to be biased in the chat. We wish him all the best. We love Tony Mowbray to bits for the service he gave us and the day at Wembley in the summer of 2000. But he's an incredibly sensible appointment to firstly see them safe this season, which they probably are now given the upturn in form since he's come in. And if you want somebody to build, possession-based, attacking football, looking to develop young players, he's your man. He's an incredibly experienced, incredibly astute championship manager. And I think that's a really sensible appointment. But unfortunately, it has undone a lot of the good work that the ownership did off the pitch and John Eustace did on the pitch for the first 2-3 months of the season.
Yeah, and the timing so bizarre with Michael Beale at Sunderland as well, being let go there, because I think we've spoken about this on a few pods. You know what you're going to get with Tony Mowbray. Brought out the best in Clark, didn't he, at Sunderland, and really achieved a fantastic end to the season for them last season. Missed out on the playoffs, obviously, but newly promoted. And you kind of think Sunderland, massive brain fart in terms of their situation. And then essentially Mogga goes in and Sunderland are the team that he defeats within a couple of games of joining, isn't it? The narrative is always amusing, isn't it, when it comes to managerial merry-go-rounds and so on. But yeah, as we said, he won't be in the dugout on Saturday. We wish him the very best. Mark Venus, the man in charge, obviously much love and affection for him as well. So it's going to be
Does that make you feel really old? Like it makes me feel really old to have Mowbray and Venus that we saw for so many years, the stalwarts at the back, are now in their late 50s, early 60s, are going to be managing in the dugout. I don't know. I just saw a picture of Mark Venus earlier and thought, God, we're all getting on, aren't we?
Age catches up with all of us.
And when we were watching Town TV the other night, you had Alan Lee on the sofa, Matt Holland on the sofa. I think Scully was on the sofa as well. It just makes it does age you when you see your heroes, doesn't it? From a promotion winning side of 2000, all now doing punditry. It ages you quite quickly, I think.
Lovely. Seb dragging the mood down there, everyone, with reminding us about how old we are.
I'll try and be more clutch.
Well, so there you go. Didn't Barcelona bring on a 16-year-old midweek in the Champions League who
youngster, he's been playing all season, but
born in 2007, which is just crazy. Anyway, hello everyone, we are old. Let's move it on. State of play, Seb. Talk to us about where Birmingham find themselves in the league, and more importantly, that away form.
Well, Mowbray steadied the ship, unsurprisingly, which you would have expected being the safe pairs of hands that he is. They're currently sat 15th in the table with 38 points. They've won 10 of the 32 games played so far this season, drawn 8 and lost 14 with a minus 11 goal difference. Only 5 sides in the league have scored less goals so far this season, so we'll discuss chance creation, shots and goal scoring. It is a bit of an issue for them. 9th best form in the last 5 overall, 3 wins, including 2 in the last 2 against Stoke, Blackburn and Sunderland, and 2 defeats, West Brom and Sheffield Wednesday. The away form, though, is pretty poor, really poor in reality. It's 21st best in the league, so 21st worst, so third worst. 11 points from the 16 games played, only 3 wins and 2 draws. The rest have all been defeats. The last 5 away from home has been 3 losses, a win and a defeat. The win was over Stoke, but given how they're performing with Schumacher in charge, that's not that amazing. But he has steadied the ship a little bit. As you say, he's had a couple of decent results at St Andrews, and that for me kind of means they are safe now. I can't see them getting dragged into a relegation battle with Mowbray, and I know he stepped aside, but with Venus in the dugout as well. I think they'll be okay, and they just simply now have to build for next season and look to go again, don't they?
Yeah, another team with just a crazy home away Jekyll and Hyde situation. We know, we were at the game earlier in the season, Seb, how fearsome St Andrews is. I think all the seats and the stands are now back open, so full capacity, and certainly the Sunderland game was a pretty fearsome atmosphere. And, you know, with that backing behind you, it's a really difficult place for any team to go. But away from home, it's not really the same. You can't, the away crowd can't have that effect, even though they travel in numbers. But yeah, just it feels like a lot of dysfunction, really, said, at both ends of the field. We'll talk more about that later on. But creating chances, not scoring goals, and just letting too many in feels like the kind of headlines there. Last time out, let's talk about this win against Sunderland then, because came from behind, but we know Sunderland are then on course to sack their manager after that. But, you know, again, football loves a story, doesn't it? And Tony Mowbray getting one over on his old club.
Yeah, happy for him. You know, Sunderland sought to dismiss him and appoint Michael Beale. That didn't work out at all. We saw Sunderland at Portman Road a month or so ago giving Michael Beale pelters. And a wry smile for Mowbray, I think, pulling that one out of the bag. They beat them 2-1 at St Andrews. It was decent value for the win, I would suggest. An XG of 1.39 to Sunderland's 1.10. 16 shots to 10, 4 big chances created to 2. And obviously they then sacked Michael Beale shortly after the full-time whistle. So a nice bit of narrative for Mowbray to maybe give a little nudge to his former employers that sacking me might not have been the smartest move that you've made so far this season.
Indeed. And we know that, you know, of 866 games, you're telling me here in the script as well, across 9 clubs. It's funny. I Googled Birmingham team news, as I tend to do, just to add some level of value to this podcast. And all the stories that came up were about Tony Mowbray, but they were all from local papers and national media talking about ex-Coventry, ex-Blackburn manager, ex-Middlesbrough manager, and you kind of forget what a great career he has had as a manager.
Yeah, managed north of the border as well, didn't he? Had the spell at Celtic and Hibs. Took 3 or 4 games in charge of us, didn't he? When George Burley left,
I remember his moment there.
Yeah, I think there were a couple more times we kind of hoped he would return to look after us, but it never worked out, did it? I think when we were desperate for people, he was kind of flying high, getting sides promoted from League One and back into the Championship. So our paths have never quite crossed. But yeah, 866 games managed in his career. He's an upturn in form, like we said, is what's happened since he's gone in there, to be expected. He's won 3, drawn 1, and had 2 defeats from his league games in charge so far, averaging 1.66 points per game. And he's probably a manager that, you know, in a good year will get you 5th or 6th. In a poor year, you'll probably finish 11th or 12th. He's an incredibly safe pair of hands for this level, a really sensible appointment. And do you remember when Mick kind of left us, and there were some people kind of saying, oh, you know, sides do tend to drop off when he leaves them? That tends to happen with Mowbray as well, doesn't it? You know, Blackburn, not in a great place. Well, I know he was at West Brom absolutely years ago, took them up, but they're not in a great place at the moment either. And yeah, just in a world of relatively short Championship manager tenures, I mean, it must be less than a year at this point, the average kind of lifespan for a championship manager. 2 things kind of stuck out to me. He was in charge of Blackburn for 5 years, in charge of Middlesbrough for 3 years. Cov, I think he was there for 3 years as well. So he does kind of buck the trend of this kind of short, hire and fire culture that we do see at this level, which suggests that, well, A, he's pretty good at his job, and B, sides tend to appoint him in order to build something. Hopefully that's what he'll be able to do at Birmingham.
Yeah, and he plays the game the right way as well. He's got those dare we say, the Ipswich way kind of ingrained in his mind. But of course, he has a career longer than before Ipswich. But yeah, you like to think our style under Burley rubbed off on him and Mark Venus as well. So,
and he's great with young players as well. You know, the likes of Jack Clark, you mentioned, Ballard at Sunderland. You know, he's got a record of bringing through really good young talent, which with the players we'll come on to discuss Birmingham, James Jones is another big tick in his favour.
Yeah, and John here mentioning Andre Dizelle, who we know all about, and his form has taken an uptick as well, and no coincidence there either. History-wise, Seb, we're going to age ourselves again here, but back in the Burley era, I always felt like Birmingham was a team we never got the better of. I remember we talked about this in the previous pods for the away game, but I always felt like Trevor Francis's teams in particular were really nasty to play against. We always were on the wrong side of a crappy 1-0 or something like that.
Lazaridis dive every now and again.
Yeah, exactly right. And then the League Cup stuff as well. Talk to us about tell us the record, Seb, because it's more positive than maybe I think.
Yeah, we do have the advantage slightly. So it's 35 Ipswich wins, 19 draws between the two, including the most recent meeting, the 2-2 draw back in November, and 30 Birmingham wins. As we said, the last game, we were there back in November, 2-0 down, horrible conditions. Some sort of storm was hitting Birmingham, wasn't it? It was chucking it down with rain. It was miserable. They pressed us incredibly well for kind of half an hour, 40 minutes. We looked out on our feet. We looked dead and buried when Burgess slid in to score an own goal relatively early into the second half. And then Marcus Harness came off the bench. They noticeably tired. Harness scored a couple of goals to get us a point on that day. And yeah, we were kind of there at the time, and it was incredibly frustrating to watch. But I think we did say there's no chance Birmingham can keep this level of intensity up, given what had happened under Rooney in the few games he had in charge. And that's exactly how it played out in the end. The last game at Portman Road was the 1-1 draw back in April 2019, the game that officially relegated us back to League One. Yeah, that was it. But polite applause off, and Lambert standing in front of the North Stand, pretending to be overwhelmed with the amazing positivity coming his way. The last win at Portman Road was on the opening day of the 2017-18 season, a 1-0 victory. Have you got no recollection? Well, that's going to prove well, because I'm about to throw one of my lineup quizzes at you. It was a 1-0 victory. Joe Garner scored the goal. We got dicked in pre-season 6-0 by Charlton about a week before this. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that meant that Mick tightened up for the start of the season. We went on this crazy run, didn't we, where we ended up winning, was it the first 5 or the first 6? And I think we had like an XG of 0.3 in every single game, and somehow we found ourselves on the right end of all the results. But I'm going to throw it at you. A 5-3-2 opening day formation in sunny August 2017 against Birmingham.
Was that Joe Garner?
Go ahead. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, he was the goal scorer. Yeah,
and that was the first game with goal line technology, I believe, as well, wasn't it?
I think you're right. Yeah.
So Bart would have been in goal.
Yep.
Chambo.
Yep.
Was Spence involved? I'm trying to think.
Spence was playing right centre back.
Knudsen.
Yep, left wing
Smith,
back.
then.
Yes, you're doing well.
Scouse, obviously.
Yep. One player will probably feature.
Dizelle.
Yeah, had that horrible injury, didn't he? Do you remember on the stroke of half time?
I said Garner. Sears.
Yes, the other striker. You've done some research, haven't you?
And Dominic Iorfa.
Oh, you've played a blinder here. Fair play to you. I'm surprised it took you game week 33 to do the actual.
I just thought, because of where I know we're going later on, and a situation there that I just had to get one up on you this week. But I would have got some of it, but I definitely wouldn't have got Iorfa or
I should have noticed when you kept looking down. I thought, what's he looking at there? Yeah,
Grant Ward's. Yeah, I was confident.
Played me.
But I remember the Garner goal, and I remember the goal line technology that I didn't look up. But there you go. I've ruined it for everyone out there. But normal service will resume next week if Seb does that. I won't cheat. No cheater-bix for me next week. But yeah, there's not too many exciting memories of playing Birmingham teams of the past, are there, Seb? I can't.
No, I can't.
Simon Mills scored a couple of good goals, I think, in the mid-90s, 95, 96, I want to say, or 96, 97, in a 2-0 win. Kevin Francis, who's already been mentioned in the chat, played in that game for Birmingham as well. But yeah, generally not memorable. So let's see what happens on Saturday. Talking about the class of 23-24, give us some names, particularly those who came in. We've mentioned Andre Dizelle obviously coming in on loan, but others that have been brought in the January window, Seb.
Well, I would suggest the best bit of business was keeping Jay Stansfield, wasn't it? We were kind of hoping within
Despite
the first,
the
we were.
significant interest from high-flying Ipswich Town.
We kind of hoped, didn't we, in the first week of the window, Fulham would have recalled him and we'd have done a deal either with a view to buy in the summer and get him on loan for the second half of the season, or got him with a bid to tempt Fulham. But no, he stayed there. It was kind of on and off. I think towards the end of the window, Mowbray had said in a press conference, they can still recall him, but we expect him to be here. And he was doing various social media posts, kind of showing him hugging the Birmingham players. And you kind of started to get the impression this isn't going to happen. And I think keeping him is a brilliant bit of business. He opened the scoring back in November, didn't he, with the jammy deflection that came through from Bakuna. He's a really great player. We discussed him last time. He's a pest. Pace. I think he's a lovely player. Scored a cracking goal away at was it Stoke a few weeks ago, and just a really, really good player at this level. So keeping him has been absolutely crucial for them. Alex Pritchard has been reunited.
Just quickly, if Rooney stays, it feels like it's an open
he gets recalled.
that Stansfield goes, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, if Rooney, I presume Fulham recall him in that. That's probably why we showed the interest, because otherwise, if we were rebuffed straight away, then potentially we wouldn't have bothered wasting our time with it. I assume if Rooney is still there, he gets recalled, and maybe he's here. But maybe in that case, we don't get Kiefer Moore. So swings and roundabouts, and everything happens for a reason. Alex Pritchard has been reunited with Tony Mowbray. They kind of had this
forced
weird
to move, didn't he?
Yeah, he was out of contract in the summer, so I think they got about 100 grand for him, and there were rumours that he'd refused to play, and he's gone through there. He has missed the last couple of games with the calf injury, so he might not feature at the weekend, but we know he is a quality player at this level. Andre Dazelle, we've already mentioned, on loan from QPR, scored the winner against another one of Mowbray's old sides, Blackburn, a couple of weeks ago. We know Andre Dazelle, he didn't really work out for him at QPR. I remember some scathing reviews from their kind of fanzines and stuff, but hopefully he can go there and get himself a decent run of games. Seems to be doing okay so far, and that can be revisited in the summer. And they've signed a chap from the Japanese league, from Jeonbuk Hyundai, who is saying how Pak, I'm going to go with, central midfielder. He's kind of formed a relationship in the middle of the pitch with Andre Dazelle, and apparently he's doing really well. So he's one to look out for on the weekend. A surprise signing. You wouldn't have assumed that Birmingham maybe had a lot of scouts out scouting the J League.
Miyoshi.
No, true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so potentially, it's an area they do look at. But apparently, he's come in, done well, and there's a good chance he'll be alongside Andre Dazelle on the weekend. Only one departure to speak of: Kevin Long, ex kind of Burnley, bit of a stalwart centre back. He's gone out to, I think it's Toronto in the States. You're shrugging your shoulders. Rich actually removed the poor guy from the script and said, "I've never heard of him. Don't mention him." And I said, "Well, you've got to show the guy."
Can we put it to the chat? If you know Kevin, if the name Kevin Long rings a bell, can you just confirm or not? We haven't removed him entirely from the script because we need to talk about their backline, Seb, and the little bit of dysfunction there. But it wasn't a name that I remember.
Kevin Long family is watching. I apologise for the
I'm so sorry.
harshness of my host.
Yeah, I know they like Ipswich Town podcasts. Mogger's style of play. Well done, Neil. He's right. Who are we saying? Who's right? He, me.
Love me. Love Rich.
No, I don't know who. Neil's not identified one of us, has he? So
he'll say you're right because
he's playing the game like it's pronounced Ali Al Hamadi and all that kind of stuff. Style of play, familiar story. Most teams at this level play 4-2-3-1 or something variation of that kind. And Mogger, very used to that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a 4-2-3-1 using all the league games since he took charge. Now, a lot of these stats, the trouble is, obviously, these are heavily caveated because, as we said, Mowbray is their third manager so far this season. So you've kind of got a mixture of Eustace for the first couple of months, Rooney with the awful 15-game run with only a couple of wins in there, and now Mowbray. As of the moment, if you take all their playing styles combined, they are the third most direct side in the league at the moment, behind Rotherham and behind Huddersfield. But we know that's not the kind of football Mowbray plays. So that's not what it will be moving forward. That's just where they are this season based on the managers that they've had. I thought it'd be interesting, because I'm quite a sad person, to compare the 5 matches before Mowbray took over and then the 5 matches kind of since he took over, just to get an idea of what he was looking to change, what he was looking to influence. And a lot of the key metrics that you would anticipate and expect from a Mowbray side have surprisingly kind of improved. So possession has gone from an average of 39% per game to 49% per game. Yeah. Shots taken has increased from 10 per game to 16. XG, hello you XG fans in the chat and out there, has increased from 0.9 per game to 1.2. Total passes has gone up from 345 a game to 379. And long balls has decreased from 61 to 54 per game. Yeah, so we as you said, we know the kind of attacking, possession-based football Mowbray is looking to play. He's trying to make them less direct. And I just think, being the sensible manager that he is, he won't try and change too much too soon, which is probably what Rooney got wrong. You know, they had a side that was set up for counter-attacking, more direct football under Eustace. Rooney tried to kind of make them a passing out from the backside without having the players to kind of do it. Mowbray will look to kind of get his influence across on the side and make them more pleasant on the eye potentially, but he's going to do it in kind of a sensible way where he can build for the final 10, 12 games of the season, and then go in with a bit of backing in the summer to get players in there to make the jump to the full kind of play he wants, I would assume.
Yeah, we mentioned already goals seem to be an issue in both boxes. Lots of shots. I was watching back the highlights for the last few games, as I mentioned, and lots of kind of 6-yard box, 18-yard box kind of chaos, shots raining in and none of them going in. They've been quite unfortunate. Certainly Sheffield Wednesday, I recall Blackburn as well. I know they won that game, but should have won by much more. That they're just not converting these chances. And I don't know if that's because the strikers are wasteful or because the quality of the chances, you know, if teams are going to sit in and just chuck bodies in front of them, then just taking the shot is a kind of a waste of time, isn't it? So I think I'm trying to kind of harness my inner Dave Diamond. There's a bit of both in that situation in terms of quality of chances, but quality of finishing, because they are taking shots, Seb, aren't they? They do like a shot.
They do, yeah, and they like a pop from distance as well. I mean, 13 shots on average per game. These are the away stats. Is the 5th highest in the league. However, only 14 goals scored away from home is the 4th fewest in the division. They love a shot from range. 44% of their shots come from outside the box, which is the 2nd highest in the league. Wow. Created 46 big chances so far this season. That's 17th overall. So yeah, the overriding message is they will shoot. They will have a pop from range, but the finishing has just been, yeah, like John says there, the finishing has been nothing short of terrible. And it's strange because, like you said, I guess a side with Jay Stansfield in it, you would expect kind of him to get on the end of some of those chances, but it is a bit of a transition season. Like we said, you've kind of got a squad that's got the makeup of a couple of managers, and it's just going to take Mowbray a bit of time to get it right, but I have no doubts he will, because look what he did for his Sunderland side, his Blackburn side. Did they finish 7th or 8th before they kind of moved him on? He has this habit, as I said, of playing attractive football, and goal scoring isn't normally an issue for his sides.
No, yeah, there's legacy of all sorts of recruitment and different regimes as well. And as John says, should have battered Blackburn, but just got the one goal. And it was Andre Dazelle, actually, I think, that got that kind of a tap in. There are a lot of goals they score from inside the area as well. I know they have the shots from outside, but that does feel like a bit futile. But, you know, we know that Hladky has been tested from range quite recently, so that might be playing on their mind. Defensively, though, Seb, I mentioned the chaos in both boxes defensively, and I think the goals that Harness scored at St Andrews should kind of ring alarm bells if I'm Birmingham. Really static, really poor when the ball falls in the penalty area. They are really slow to react, and that's how Harness spins on it and scores that equaliser, for example. But the stats away from home defensively really not good, are they?
They're not, no. 30 goals conceded away from home is the 5th highest in the league. 25 goals conceded from open play is the 2nd highest in the league. Only 2 clean sheets on their travels so far this season. I think they've kept 7 overall, but only 2 on the road. They are 3rd for interceptions per game, though, and they are 5th for successful tackles per game. So those kind of metrics, which I guess didn't dictate kind of, defensively busy, maybe a little bit aware. They're the kind of stats they're okay on, but they don't half concede some goals.
Talk to us about the personnel then. We mentioned Jay Stansfield. John's just put in there that maybe not an out-and-out forward, and that might have been playing on our mind in terms of recruitment as well. There's a lot of rotation in players being tried out there. Tyler Roberts is one as well. But give us some names of the likely starters on the weekend.
Well, as we said about Jay Stansfield, he's kind of the main guy up front. 9 goals so far this season. Got the opener at St Andrews back in December. I think I called this chap James Jordan earlier or something.
He's a dancer or a former dancer on Strictly Come Dancing. Just so you're aware.
I'll take your word for that.
There's your reference.
Jordan James is the 19-year-old in his breakthrough season, playing as the number 10 at the moment. Subject of a couple of bids apparently in the January window.
Palace and
Atalanta. Atalanta. He's got 7 goals so far this season, so he's doing well. He's kind of the ideal player you would want, was it, with Mowbray at the helm to develop him and kind of bring him forward. Koji Miyoshi's been playing really well since Mowbray took over. Plays down the right-hand side, either right wing or right in the 4-2-3-1, the kind of the right forward role. He got the winner last time out against Sunderland. 4 goals and 4 assists so far this season.
To be fair, just to jump in, both goals at Sunderland, similar to Dazelles versus Blackburn, are just goalmouth scrambles and they're the last person to tap in. So
Yeah,
it
but you've still got
wasn't.
to be there.
You've got to be there, of course.
Yeah.
And he's not a forward traditional. He's not a Kiefer Moore type forward. I'm just saying that so a lot of the goals are just people prodding in at close range after a bit of a scramble. Certainly of late, at least. Continue.
Junio Bakuna, he got the kind of jammy deflected ball through for the opener by Stansfield back in November. He can kind of cover on either flank. He can play in the middle as well. 5 goals and 5 assists so far this season. Sariki Dembele's got 6 goals and an assist from the flanks. Ethan Laird played really well back in November. Do you remember the right back he played? Ethan Laird. Sorry, I think you did that same thing to me back in the November show.
Laird.
He is he drawing a dog? He was really impressive, I thought, in the November game. He got substituted about halfway through the second half, didn't he? And it was noticeable that after then, while left hand side suddenly started to kind of perk up. He's primarily a right back, but he's been covering at left back in recent weeks. Ex-Scummer John Ruddy is the goalkeeper, -5 in the goal prevented statistics. Made a really good save. Do you remember that one that just went? I think it was Chaplin got a shot off, and somehow it kind of dribbled agonisingly past the post after Ruddy got down to it really well at the game at St Andrews. Had a few issues at centre-back so far this season with Kevin Long, one of our favourite players we mentioned quite a lot, has moved on to the MLS. Christian Bellick has kind of dropped
just
back.
joining in with what the Birmingham fans do.
Christian Bellick has dropped back from centre midfield to go centre back, playing alongside Mark Roberts, who's 33 years old in recent weeks. Dion Sanderson, the guy ex-Wolves, played against us in the previous game. He's been out with an injury, but he could well be back for the weekend, so he might well come back in. I assume it would be still alongside Bellick, and Mark Roberts would be the one to drop out. But John obviously can correct us if I'm wrong on that one. A couple of names people will remember: Scott Hogan, ex-Villa, 1 goal and 2 assists in 11 starts, 19 appearances overall so far this season. Lucas Jukovic, who seems to have been around forever.
Another
2 goals.
Or he scored the goal in that relegation game, didn't he?
Yes, I think so, yeah. 2 goals and 1 assist, only 3 starts so far this season. And Gary Gardner, you can still find him, 31, 32, I think he is now. Only 1 start, 10 appearances so far this season. So they have got a few familiar names, but they'll be mainly kind of bench options. Tyler Roberts is ex-Wolves. He ex-Walsall, not Wolves, Leeds and ex-Walsall. He's been playing in the 3 behind the striker recently. He's one to look out for as well. I think he's a full Welsh international and quite highly rated from his time back at Leeds.
John, our insider, says he reckons it'll be Tyler Roberts in the 10, James Miyoshi probably playing either side, Bakuna, Dembele off the bench, he reckons there. So thank you, John, for your insights there. But definitely it feels like a little bit of experimentation trying to find the right formula there. But there is talent in that squad. And, as with all teams at this level, it is worth giving them our respect. Any other statistical... Dirty bastards you've written here, Seb?
I have written dirty bastards. Apologies to John in the chat. 42 yellows and 2 reds.
John. He's not sorry.
Away from home is the 4th worst disciplinary record in the league. They're also joint top for fouls committed per game with an average of 13. So maybe some of those physical battles that we used to enjoy with the likes of Horsfield and Trevor Francis sides back in the day, some of those elements are still there a little bit. And also, they are the worst side in the league for second half performances away from goals. They've conceded away from home. They've conceded 22 goals and only scored 7 in the second half of games. The sweet spots appear to be in the minutes 51 to 60 and 81 to 90, where they've let in 14 goals. So
we know all about that, don't we?
If you're a betting, I mean, we concede early. So if you kind of read how this one's going to go, we'll be 1-0 down at half time, and then we'll end up winning it 4-1 with 2 goals between minutes 51 and 60 and 2 goals after the 81st minute.
Yeah, a lot of love for Tyler Roberts in the chat. Good to have Birmingham fans, by the way. I really appreciate insights from the opposition supporters. Please be respectful and we'll be respectful back. But yeah, great chat here, folks. And also worth keeping an eye out. We've got a few cameos in Birmingham podcasts coming up. Our mate, the Boy in Blue, is here. Joe had a chat with him the other night, and you can find that on his channel. And also the Tilton Talk Show as well, who are our kind of Birmingham counterparts on the Talk Sport Fan Network. Craig has spoken to them tonight as well, so keep a lookout for that. So lots of Ipswich/Birmingham content out there. I was on the Fan Network podcast as well, which you can get on your normal podcast app too. So plenty of stuff going on there, Seb. Before we talk about Ipswich, let's do other bits and pieces of business while we're at it as well. We are brought to you in partnership with the Greyhound, the best pub in Ipswich. I'm going to say it. Obviously, Saturday home game, so pre-match, you need to head down there, get some great food, get some great drinks and have some great company as well. Hopefully, I'm sure you'll find various members of the pod team and folk in the chat as well, generally there as well. So head down to the Greyhound. If you can't get to the game, do check out our NordVPN. Just as an incidental inclusion, we have got a discount with NordVPN, link in the chat, 30-day money-back guarantee and all that fun stuff. Keep yourself safe while browsing online, folks. That's the headline there. Or the Telegram group as well. Matchday chat will open from tomorrow night. If you can't make the game, great way to follow it. And even if you're at the game, if you need to get verification on certain refereeing decisions, for example, always good to refer to the Telegram group there as well if you can get a signal. Blue Monday, itfc.co.uk is our website. All the links, including the Nord stuff, including Telegram, are there, as well as our pod feeds, our YouTube feeds, etc. Merch store and Flagship Show. Last thing, Flagship Show back Sunday 8 p.m. live as always. Ben, Joe, and Craig will be talking about Birmingham after the fact. Ipswich v Birmingham, in fact, after the fact. Please give us a thumbs up. There's a lot of you here. Great to have so many people here. Hope you're enjoying the show. Do get involved in the chat. We'll get predictions done soon as well, so get thinking about those. Any questions for Seb too, we'll put them to him. But do give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. Plenty of Blue Monday content coming your way in the next few weeks as hopefully the season reaches a positive conclusion one way or the other. Seb, let's talk about Ipswich then. Probably the biggest question mark is Harry Clark, given he was withdrawn. We are recording this for those listening on podcast who we appreciate as well, by the way. If you're listening on demand, thank you. Harry Clark, probably the biggest question mark, and a lot of maybe doubt as to who would replace him with Tuanzebe. Maybe not buttering too many parsnips on Tuesday night in his second half cameo.
It would have to be Tuanzebe, though, wouldn't it? What other option have you got? Danassian's out. Brandon Williams is in the wind. Edmondson can't really play there. It would have to be Tuanzebe. It was an impact injury, wasn't it? He went down off, but it was a muscular injury. It wasn't his Achilles. It's not his Achilles or anything, is it? So hopefully it's not linked to his previous issues. But I guess this was the chance we took, wasn't it? When we kind of didn't sign a bit of fullback cover in the window, we knew this day might come, and it will be Tuanzebe, I assume. I guess the alternative, you could put Don Ball there, he's barely played, or you could put, as Paul says, you could put Lewis Travis there. But again, they're both kind of out of position. So for me, it would be Tuanzebe. He was decent at Stoke away, shows a bit of pace, doesn't maybe offer you the same attacking threat that Harry Clark does offer you. But I guess he's the natural understudy. And I guess the other big issue is the number 10 position for me. I think at this point, Amari has to come in and start. He's so influential the last few weeks. I like it when he naturally plays, starts as the 10, but he will naturally drift out to that right-hand side when he can link up with Burns and cause kind of, double ups against left backs. I think it's his shirt now to kind of come in. Connor Chaplin is absolutely superb. Not been maybe at it so much in recent weeks. And I think Hutchinson now will get a decent run in the side. Am I praising him too much there, or do you think similar?
No, I think he's got a big shout, and you need to figure. I think it's now kind of horses for courses on the opposition. Really, I think is Hutchinson's pace going to be important on Saturday versus Chaplin's positional, and the instinct, the striker's instinct that he has from number 10. Those are probably the trade-offs that you make, as well as the starter finisher thing, which is still a big thing as well. I kind of feel like home game, Chaplin and Broadhead start more often than not. Do you not go Burn, the first choice front four with Moore, obviously now instead of, and there's question marks against Moore as well. Obviously took a knock to his knee, but I'd be going with the Holy Trinity, isn't it? Isn't it?
Burns, I'd have Broadhead
Chaplin
back in on the left. I'd have Broadhead back in the left. Burns.
Harsh on Hutchinson though. A lot of love in the chat, Futch.
I think he deserves to start. I really do. Yeah. I think Hutchinson deserves to start. I think I'd have Chaplin. I'd have Chaplin on the bench, and he can be kind of the finisher. Comes on at the 65th, 70th minute, where McKenna tends to like to make his subs. I mean, Hutchinson started in the number 10 role away at Millwall, didn't he? And was really influential. And he's grown so much as the season kind of came on. His off the ball stuff has been praised so many times by McKenna, and I think he deserves a real run now to see what he can do, because I think his development has been excellent. And I think at the moment, he's probably the best bet for that number 10 position.
Okay. A lot of mentions of Harry Clark having ice on his thigh Tuesday post-game. But then, as Tony says, didn't stop in fist pumping. So hopefully that's sorted. As Paul has mentioned as well, we don't really know the story on Moore. Did kind of knock him a little bit, didn't it? wasn't the same intense.
Banged his
pressing.
knee, didn't he? You know, yeah, he went into a challenge and banged his knee, and there were a couple of times he went down, and you're kind of thinking, "Oh no, I've seen this film before." But thankfully, he was able to kind of power on through. I assume Luongo comes back in for Travis. I thought Travis did all right on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever it was. I thought he grew into the game. I thought he was okay, but I think that'll be Luongo back in alongside Morsey. And I guess in the central midfield battle, we know that Andre Dezelle isn't the most physical of players. I guess it's a chance to maybe dominate in there and let Morsey and Luongo stamp their authority. I think Pack is, I think he's about 6 foot, so I don't think he's overly slight, but you could certainly maybe look to dominate Dezelle in the middle of the pitch. And apart from that, the rest of the side picks itself. Have you got any? We debated after the pre-match post-match reaction show about Walton versus Sladkey. I don't think he'll drop him. Do you think there's any chance the team sheet goes out at 2:00 and Walton's the goalkeeper? I don't personally. I wouldn't make that change. But do you think there's something in that, or?
So I think, as we said on Tuesday night, not specifically about this situation, two things can be true at once. Hladky has been culpable for a few of the goals conceded of late. Certainly the second, obviously Tuesday night. Performances have not been as good, but there are still moments in previous weeks, previous matches where he's made match-winning saves, etc. Swansea, I think we talked about, didn't we? So yes, Hladky hasn't been his usual best, but I think when we had a chat about this on Telegram, the distribution is so critical for the way that we play.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for Walton, because I'm sure that he would have picked up the speed of the league and got it down as well if he hadn't got injured. But at this point, you don't switch your keepers just for the sake of it, sadly. I think it's going to have to take an injury or a real significant run of bad form for McKenna to even think about it, sadly. And that's not a slight on Walton's abilities. We know he's a great shot stopper, great keeper, but the style of play, clearly at this point in the season, we know that we're going to concede goals as a byproduct of the way that we want to attack teams. So I just don't see how you change it. And the same for Wolfen as well. I see chat about Wolfie and Edmondson, maybe, but I just think keep the back five settled. Let them, when you start chipping it, chopping and changing, I just think you start second guessing yourself and start fixing problems that may or may not be there. We're going to have individual games where things won't go our way. You don't just chuck it all away and reset and start from scratch the next game because you had a difficult moment. Clearly, if Birmingham is a struggle and there are challenges, then you revisit that, but it's kind of, we've got to establish the first 11 at this point to do anything major, is my opinion anyway. But let us know what you think in the chat and in the comments as well. But I think we've dealt with all the key issues there, Seb, for us. Leaves us only one place to go, which is the predictions, the worst feature on the podcast. So he bad mouths it on Tuesday, but yet here on Thursday, Seb Brown standing with a 2-point cushion winner last weekend. Congratulations, Seb. You are victorious. Chris from the Telegram group
has become the hunted.
Indeed, the season begins now. So congratulations for that. And Telegram still leading the way, though. I need to check my maths. I'm not sure that's necessarily correct. I'm not sure I've updated the table at the bottom there, but the points for the week.
You don't care anymore, do you? Your head's gone. You're not bothered, are you?
You've definitely got in my head.
Rattled.
It's like Rotherham almost getting the point. That's your Panenka
week of predictions, yeah.
And then we'll see what happens next week. So really exciting games to talk through, Seb, not least Friday night, Leeds v Leicester, but some really interesting fixtures at all ends of the table, really. QPR Rotherham, I'm interested to see what Rotherham do and whether they get any kind of confidence out of the performance, certainly second half against us. Southampton have probably got the easiest of games on paper.
New manager.
Well, let me finish.
Sorry.
If you wanted to bounce back, but you bring in the galvanizer Harris and a Millwall, a different proposition. So, yeah, lots of interesting narrative there. Let's start with Leeds Leicester. I'm going to put you on the screen. You've predicted a 2-1, as have I. You've got to fancy Leeds at home, haven't you? And I guess that there's a two-parter. That's part one. Part two, if Leicester lose, they are catchable, are they not? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And they wobbled last time they had a defeat. They lost a couple on the bounce. Lost to Middlesbrough last week, didn't they? And Leeds at Ellen Road are imperious. They're undefeated so far this season, I think, aren't they? Haven't they won their last 8 or 9 in a row? I think in both home and away. They are hitting form at just the right time. They went to Ellen, went to what's it called now? The King Power, the Walkers. Went there earlier in the season and made Leicester look very, very ordinary, didn't they? You know, Leicester didn't lay a glove on them in the slightest. I think Vardy had 3 touches all game, and I expect them to do similar tomorrow night. I think I predicted Leicester to score, but I think that's going to be a Leeds win, which does then, yeah, like you say, that Leeds will then have Leicester right in their sights, looking to kind of hunt them down for the remainder of the season. Obviously, we hope as Ipswich Town fans, it's going to be a Leicester victory to kind of, you know, kick Leeds a little bit, hopefully throw them off their stride and give us a chance to go above them on Saturday, like Neil said earlier in the chat. But I just think that at Ellen Road they are excellent, and yeah, I think that's a tough gig for Leicester. It's not where you want to go after you've had a defeat. You want a nice, easy home banker, a bit like what Southampton have got this week, to try and get themselves back on an even keel after last week.
Off the back of the Borough defeat, yeah, quite right there. Hull, West Brom, a trio of 1-1 draws. Hull big victors midweek though. And West Brom defeated to Southampton, admittedly mitigating circumstances with the red card to Corberan. Do you not think Hull might sneak that one?
Maybe potentially, but I think I've gone for the safe option. It's a side in 5th versus a side in 6th, isn't it? So those games do sometimes tend to be a little bit cagey. Hull done really well, obviously, going away to Southampton and helping us out on Tuesday night. I just think West Brom are kind of looking to establish that 5th place, aren't they? They want to make that their own so they can kind of prepare for a playoff campaign. And I just think they're quite smart, the know-how, and yeah, that's why I'm going for the 1-1 there.
Fair enough. Southampton, Millwall. Then you've talked about it.
Gimme.
Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I know Neil Harris has gone back in there. They've got rid of Joe Edwards. So what are they, the third championship side this season to have 3 managers or whatever, which is crazy. But I know he's gone back in there. He will look to reinvigorate them. I think if I was Neil Harris, I might have said, yeah, no problem. I'll take over on Monday morning. Like during Jewel came in here and he didn't want to take charge of the Arsenal game. He waited until after that and then took us for Millwall away or whatever it was. So yeah, a really tough place to go. Can you see Southampton losing 2 on the bounce? I can't.
No. It's a shame. If you'd given him longer than a few days in charge, I think maybe maybe a house at 0-0, maybe perhaps. Yeah, but not going to happen, is it? So let's get on to our game. As I mentioned at the top, I think there will be goals in this. I'm going for a 3-2. I think it'll be kind of nervy again. I think Birmingham do create chances. We are a little bit open, as we said, but Seb, confidence off the back of Tuesday and the 3 wins in a row. You got to fancy us, haven't you?
I think so. Yeah, I've gone for the 3-1. So as I said earlier, if it plays out the way we think it will do, Jay Stansfield will score in front of the North Stand in the first 15 minutes because that's what we do, and we will then come back strong in the second half and win the game. So presumably, you're thinking suddenly everything will drop for them because although they have shots and do look to shoot from outside the box, they're not big goal scorers. But you think that's going to suddenly come right for them on Saturday?
I think our defence is too open. That's my issue. And it won't be shots from outside the area. It'll be they're not great for crosses, but I think they fashion chances. Wingers cutting in, for example, and dribbling with the ball. I think that
Miashu and
Giselle's corners are looking pretty good at the moment as well. So I just think there's enough penalty area entries. Is that the right phrase to use? And if we are not getting bodies in front of shots, etc., then I think there are goals there. That's my thinking. I do hope I'm wrong. Chris is going for a 5-0 shutout, so we hope that his last this is Chris's last week on the representing Telegram. So if you want to represent the predictions here, then join the Telegram group and get involved. We're looking for someone to take over from next week and to lose to Seb, who's going to go an amazing Ipswich Town-esque run to win the league. But yeah, let's see what the chat has to say in addition to the 3 of us. Charlie's going for a 4-2. He sees goals too. Colin's going for a 2-0. Ed backing you, Seb, with a 3-1. Quietly confident. 80 going 2-0. Tim is here. 4-1 says he. Eric clacked a 1-0. Come on, Eric. turn that frown upside down. Sully saying Telegram loves. Yeah, Chris was definitely hedging his bets with the 1-alls. I think that worked for him in the first week, I think. So maybe that's why he's going back for that. David, great to have you with us as always. Eventually concede first, but win eventually 3-1.
I think David's coming over for the Birmingham game. I think if you see him around town, make sure you say hello to him. I think it's his annual trip over.
I think we definitely owe him a drink or two, don't we? Neil going for 3-2. Nick's giving us some working. Luongo and Hutchinson with a 2-0 win. Michael going 3-2 as well. At least one cheap goal giveaway and Chaplin hat-trick. There you go. Colin's going 2-2 leads Leicester. I think Ben's doing a watch along for that as well on his channel, by the way. So if you want to keep informed on the game, then head over to Ben's channel on Friday night. Andreas, a mad 5-4 win, a repeated Tuesday with
that. We
extra
cannot
goals.
take that. All our Apple Watches and various devices will be going mental, thinking we're all having cardiac arrests. Please, let's not have another one of those for a little while. We need to recover.
The universe doesn't care that I'm going 2-1 Town, but seeing the Sunderland highlights and Birmingham are great in the second half in particular. Dazelle was excellent tackles and passes. Yeah, I'm a little bit wary of that. Neil,
that is against a poor Sunderland side at St Andrews, so it's very different, isn't it?
Isn't it?
And they're at St Andrews, which, like you said, it can be a cauldron and can be very difficult for the opposition to go to.
Sticking this back on here, Neil has drawn our attention to the fact that you've predicted a Norwich win when Chris and I have gone for 1-all. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, since Norwich played us in December, they've looked pretty good, which is incredibly annoying. If Josh Sargent plays, they're pretty much guaranteed to win the game. And I'd love to be proved wrong, but the facts do suggest they are one of the form teams.
It's not a bad prediction. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So Sully asked whether Corberan will be in the stands against Birmingham. I think
no, it's only for that game, isn't it? You don't.
Yeah, I don't think there's a penalty for it. You might get a fine, but I think that's
he just
probably
has to sit out that game, and then he's free to resume duties from the next match.
Yeah. Sully's going 2-0. Metal J 3-1. Philip going for a 3-2 as well. Rando 7-2. Brilliant. David Bradley 3-0. Joel 1-0. And Paul is going for a 2-1. And Colin Dazelle to get sent off. Stranger things have happened. He's been sent off before, hasn't he?
He did. Sunderland away, wasn't it?
That was it. It was harsh, though, wasn't it?
Was that the COVID season where we
I think
it was very harsh. Yeah,
it's a 50-50 on the halfway line, wasn't it?
Something like that. Very harsh decision.
Well, we'll be back next week for Plymouth away. Just 24 hours before, well, a few hours before. We will be heading to Plymouth, won't we? So that'll be an exciting extra dimension for next weekend. Long old trip. So we'll be back next week to see how Seb has got on, whether he can turn 1 win into 2 and go on a bit of a charge. If you've got anything you want to add into the mix, anything we've missed out, then now is your opportunity to do that. I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. Really fantastic numbers. And thank you to the folks over on Facebook who I can see. Likes from Matt, Mark, Stephen, Joe, Elliot, and a love from Louise as well. Thank you. We see you over there. Thank you, everyone, for joining in the chat here on YouTube, Twitter as well. Do give us a thumbs up before you head off as well. And subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back for Plymouth next week, Seb, which will be exciting. We also need to figure out some midweek content as well, because I don't think we have do we have a game Tuesday? I don't think we do.
No,
do we?
Nothing. It's a free. It's
weird, week, doesn't it?
And then we play Bristol City the week after Plymouth, so it's a 3-game week after. But this one, thankfully, will be a bit of respite from the previous 2 midweeks.
Do go and check out Joe on the Boy in Blue channel, there, Birmingham City blogger. And also Craig on the Tilton Talk Show as well. We'll try and publish links to those as well. Do check out that stuff over there. Do give us a 5-star review if you're listening as well on podcast. We appreciate Team Podcast. Thank you as always for your support over there as well. And Seb, I will leave you to do some last minute bits as well. But I'll thank you for your efforts. Congratulate you on a great week of predictions and hope that your run ends this weekend.
That was said through gritted teeth, wasn't it? Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll do a couple of plugs, and you can take us out because we've undefeated since we changed over the baton of the sign-off. Make sure you go to the Greyhound pre-match town's #1 venue. Get yourself a booth at the back. Great beer, great food, great company. Get yourselves down there, and you might see a few of the pod team as well. Check out the flagship for us on Sunday night. It's going to be Ben in the host chair, Craig, who's been away this week, so he might have new teeth, new hair, new tan to show off. He's been away in Turkey, so check in and see what's new with Craig. And Joe's on there as well. And if you're watching, please give us a thumbs up. Would be great. Please give us a subscribe to make sure all our latest content drops straight down your channels, and obviously give us a review if you don't mind on your podcast app of choice. It helps Rich with all the nerdy stuff that no one else understands, but apparently makes us higher in lists or something. That's me done. Thank you, my friend. I will see you next week, and you can take us out.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, great research as always. Fantastic. Thanks to everyone for getting involved. Do get involved in any chance in support of Tony Mowbray as well. But as always, we sign off here with a one final, come on, you Blues!